Hey mamas, hopefully you can hear me okay. It's quite windy. I thought I would jump on here. I've come down with a little bit of inspiration to chat about transition in labour. So for mamas who have given birth before, you guys might know this as the phase of I can't. It's the kind of defining moment during your labour where you really feel that you can't continue, or maybe this wave of self-doubt comes in, or this panic feeling. For some women it's super intense and they might feel like they're going to die during that part. It can be really intense. It can be not so intense for some women as well, so we're all really unique. But that kind of wave of feeling is due to a big surge in adrenaline that happens hormonally. And I guess the way that I like to think of that from a kind of biological perspective is that, it's kind of that feeling of fight or flight. So, that crazy feeling in your body that kind of floods in. And the purpose of that, if we think about animals, that time between, the first stage of labour and the second stage of labour, which is when transition occurs. So first stage of labour is, there's kind of 4 stages unofficially. So the first stage it's kind of the pre-stage is from 0 to 3 centimetres technically. That's pre-labour. It doesn't mean that it's not real labour or that it isn't very challenging for most women. And then you've got your active phase of labour, which is from 3 centimetres to 7 centimetres. And then from 7 to 10 centimetres is this juicy, instinctive, sometimes terrifying, sometimes very challenging phase where we go super deep, called transition. And then after that, we transition into the second stage of labour, which is where you are bearing down. The baby's moving down the birth canal. You're fully dilated. The baby's moving down to be born out into the world. And then the third stage of labour is the birth of the placenta. So transition is what I want to talk about today, this juicy part between the first and second stage, this bridge from where your cervix is fully dilating to when you move into this, urge to bear down and the baby's moving down the birth canal. So some key kind of signs that you have entered the phase of transition. Generally, it's an overwhelming feeling of self-doubt, a feeling that you cannot continue, that you have reached your capacity, that you literally can't imagine how you could take a minute more of this. For some women, as I mentioned, some women get nauseous, they might vomit. Sometimes there can be diarrhea. Sometimes, your whole body could shake uncontrollably. Some women feel that that they're literally going to die. They're feeling so intense in their body, it's so uncomfortable. For other women, it's not so intense and they might not even notice. It might be a really subtle shift in energy. But for a lot of women, it's quite intense and it can feel quite frightening if you don't know to expect it and you don't know what's happening in your body. So if you can remember that this is your body just trying to make sure that you are in a safe place, like this panic feeling like I've got to get to safety before your baby is going to enter the world, if you can know that it's normal, even though it's intense, it is normal, then you can, rather than resisting it and feeling frightened of it, you can surrender to it and just allow it to move through you. You can ride the waves. That's all you've got to do. You just got to ride it out, keep breathing, and do whatever you need to do in that moment to feel safe. So here's some suggestions. You might get your birth support to massage you, especially the soles of your feet. The essential oil frankincense is very helpful during this phase of your labour. You might massage that into the soles of your feet. You might massage that into the back of your neck. You might repeat in your mind, I am safe, all is well, whatever is meaningful for you. Some women like to wrap a blanket around their head and feel cocooned in that. That helps them feel safe. Anything that can help you feel grounded, maybe, running warm water over your back. I don't know what it will be for you, but there's some ideas. You will know in the moment what will make you feel safe, and just unapologetically ask for it. Unapologetically move in whatever way you need to feel safe in that moment. And know that it does pass relatively quickly. I don't want to give any time frames because we're all different, but you know, it generally passes pretty quickly for most women. So, and just trust in your instinctive, intuitive part that will know if something really is wrong. Even though you have this feeling, there is still an awareness that you are safe on some level, but it can still feel scary. So you will know as a mama if something really isn't right, and you can express that to your care provider, whether it's a midwife, an obstetrician, or your doula, or whoever it may be. And if they're a skilled birth attendant, which hopefully you're all delivering with a skilled birth attendant, then they will be able to identify if things have become pathological or if things have become abnormal and intervention needs to happen. But most of the time, that feeling, that's the biggest thing I want to get across today, is that you will likely have this feeling, and it is normal. And it can feel super scary and uncomfortable, but if you know it's normal, you know it's going to pass, and you just need to ride it out. And then we kind of get rewarded after transition with this really juicy, sweet sense of peace, this lull. So, you know, for lots of women, their labours basically stop. When I had my second daughter, Millie, I had a break of about half an hour where I didn't have any surges or contractions at all. I just had a really nice big break where I just felt alert, awake, peaceful, and that was my body just giving me a bit of a break between the intensity of first stage before I really had to work on an energetic and physical level to bring her down into the world. Like, I don't want to put it into your mind, but it can be hard work to bring your baby down, you know, to bear down or to push or whatever you need to do. I'm not saying it always is hard work, but for most women, they will feel like it's freaking hard work. So your body kind of gives you a bit of a break before that, and a feeling of okayness. And it's really a beautiful phase if you know to expect it. Like when I had my second daughter, Millie, you know, even though I was shaking, my whole body was shaking, and I was crying and I was releasing, I still knew that it was normal. And so it was exciting because I knew that it meant it was so close. Like, things were progressing normally and beautifully. It's a normal biological stage, and it was happening. My body was doing it. You know, to get the confirmation that transition was here was actually really reassuring for me, even though it was uncomfortable. I knew that because this was happening, my body was working exactly the way the textbook said it would, if that makes sense. So it can be a really beautiful and exciting time if you can surrender to it. If you are in fear and you feel like something's wrong, it is going to be so uncomfortable. It's going to be terrifying. So I think it's really important to know about this phase before you go into your birth, to know that it likely, especially if it's happening around that 7 to 10 centimetre mark, it is likely, like, shit's going to get real during that part. That is the part of your labour where shit is going to get real. And that is the part where you literally need to, it's almost like a dying of your old self. Not to get, you know, too spiritual, but that's just me. It's almost like a dying of the old self, and then stepping through that transition, ready to be reborn as a mother. It's really significant, and it's really symbolic, and it's really beautiful. And yes, it is uncomfortable and it can be really scary, but if you know that it's normal, hopefully this can help you to trust your body. Please keep trusting your body. Please keep trusting your ability. You can do this. You are doing this. If you get to the point of transition, you're so close to meeting your baby. You know, literally, it's just keeping that positive mind. That is the most important key to being able to bring your baby earthside physiologically. So that's without any kind of medical intervention, which will be safe and right for most women who are low risk. So work with skilled birth attendants who you trust. Get in as much of a safe place as you can. Ride the waves. Stay connected to your breath. Stay positive in your mind. That's all I can tell you, and you totally got this. Okay, guys, have a beautiful day.